The 417 Gamers is a group of board, tabletop, and card gamers in the 417 area code. This is the podcast. Welcome to the 417 Gamer Podcast, episode 19, the one with player counts. In the 4, Andrea and I discuss 4 games that we've been enjoying in the last, month or so. We discuss Sunrise Lane, number 9, El Grande, and Camel Up. For the 1, the topic of the show, Jen from the 417 Gamer Podcast stops by, and we discuss player count. Then in the 7, Jen stays with us, and we discuss our favorite 7 games that start with the letter A. Now, without further ado, the 417 Gamer Podcast. Welcome to the 417 Gamer Podcast. My name is Rick.
And I'm Andrea.
And we're joined by a friend in the 417 Gamer group. Jen, say hello.
Hello.
In the 417 Gamer Podcast, we talk about 4 games that we've enjoyed playing in the last month or so. Andrea, would you like to kick us off?
I sure will. We played number 9 at game night at Metagames, and I don't know how old this game is, but I had never played it before, and I don't know that I've ever played a game like number 9 before. It is, it has, what do you call the pieces that are like Tetris pieces?
They're blocky numbers.
Yeah, with all the different shapes.
But yeah, they're kind of, in theory, Tetris or the Tetramino style pieces.
Yeah, but they're little cardboard pieces shaped like Tetris pieces, and they have numbers on them, up through 9, and you layer them stacking up. Mm-hmm. And whenever you put your first level of numbers down, they count for 0 points. But the next level up counts for 1 times the number on the piece.
Because that's the first floor.
And in order to do that, every part of the piece has to be the piece underneath it has to be, every piece has to be covered.
Fully supported.
There can be no gaps underneath it. So it's not as easy as you would think. And you can't take a T place and put it right on top of a T. That has to cover more than one space or piece of the layer underneath.
Yeah. This is designed by Peter Wickman. My game was published by Z-Man Games. It plays 4 out of the box, so I have 2 copies, so I can play 8 at once. This was published in 2017. And yeah, they're number tiles, and they have to be fully supported, and they have to cover at least 2 other tiles.
Yes.
So like you said, the basement level is 0, because that's your 0 level of a building. Mm-hmm. And then each number is multiplied what floor they're on.
Right. We played it with 6 or 8?
We played it with 7.
7.
It's a very fast game. Takes about 20 minutes at most. That's with the teach. Mm-hmm. It's a really good icebreaker game when people are getting to the game store and you're getting ready to see what games everybody wants to play.
Right.
Pop it out. Get a flavor for what people are feeling, too. Because once they're done with number 9, they're like, I need something a lot harder than that.
Right.
Or, you know what, my brain's kind of fried today. That's about the speed I want to go.
But gosh, everyone that played had a really good time. Jen, you played with us. Did you enjoy it?
I did, and you said a lot harder game than that, but one thing I noticed were a lot of people like, I need this number.
Yeah.
And they said that multiple times, and it never came out. And so that was in there.
Oh, yeah. It plays very similar to some roll and write games, where there's a deck of cards that dictate what number you get to play. And there's 2 of each number from 0 to 9. And you would really like the zeros to be on the base because they're worthless anyway. But you don't always get a 0 in like your first couple draws. Sometimes a 0 comes up like the very last draw. And it's worthless, so where are you going to put it? Doesn't matter.
Right.
But that's number 9, designed by Peter Wickman, and our copy was published by Z-Man Games. Second game we're going to talk about is El Grande. El Grande came out in 1995. This is designed by Wolfgang Kramer and Richard Ulrich. This is the new Hans im Gluck copy.
I'm sorry?
Hans im Gluck. It's a German company. There's an older Z-Man copy that's kind of, I don't know that if I can say ugly, but it's dated.
Okay.
I like that aesthetic, but the new one has brighter colors. El Grande is an area control game. On your turn, everybody is going to play a number card. The lower number will let you recruit more people. The higher number will give you earlier turn order to where you can do your things. And then at the same time, you're going to be drafting powers. So like one might let you put extra people on the map. One might let you send other people's guys on the map to the Castillo, which we just said was jail.
Straight to jail.
Straight to jail. If you put somebody in my spot, straight to jail. And then there's also a big piece called the King. And wherever he's at on the board, you cannot put any pieces in that area. And the map is the map of Spain. It's different provinces. At the end of the game, whoever has the most points wins. It's very Euro-y.
What weight would you say it is?
I'd go lighter mid for its time. I think it won the Spiel des Jahres. It was at least nominated if it didn't win. It plays in about hour to 90 minutes. There's also some expansions that we didn't touch, and I'd be interested to exploring that. But a lot of the time, our group is Cult of the new shiny every week. And for a game, I know it's a reprint, but for a 1995 game to pop out and everybody be quite happy with what they played, it was nice to see.
It was.
Andrea, what else are we talking about?
Sunrise Lane. We got it because it was supposed to be a Ticket to Ride level game, and we don't have quite enough of those to have in the bag for the newbies that come out to our events.
No, over the years I kind of culled some of those out of the collection, and then when pandemic hit, I was kind of sad that I didn't have a lot of them anymore.
And it's nice to have something else besides Ticket to Ride in the bag.
Sure.
Sunrise Lane, we played it with some very heavy Euro gamers, and they still enjoyed it, and they had a good time. It is lightweight enough that anyone can understand the premise, but thinky enough that if you put your mind to it, you can really rack up some points, which Gary sure did.
Yes.
He whooped us bad. But what I liked most about this game is the little houses that you're putting out. There's a communal neighborhood map with squares on it that you put your little houses on, and you can stack your houses. They can be up to 5 houses high, and it has a really great look, a table presence to it, because once you've had 2 or 3 turns and each of you have built your little houses down your streets and at different levels, it looks really good.
Yeah, it does. The little quibbles we had with it, the board is a little small, and what that matters about is color perception, because each of the squares are different colors. There's pink, red, green, blue, and yellow. The yellow stands out fine, but the green's not too far off from the blue, and the red's not too far off from the pink.
Those are very difficult to...
And it's nice because there's supposed to be symbology there to match your cards up, because you're going to play a card to put a building on there, but the little symbols are super tiny.
Yes.
So you're like, several times people went to go play a red card, but it was a pink square.
Right.
On your turn, you're going to play up to 5 cards. And when you play a card, it must match the square if you're going to build your buildings. But you can also do kind of a waste move where you discard a card that's not the correct color to build a park.
Yeah.
So you can keep on building, because you can build in a chain as long as you can keep on going, and you can build next to the last played building.
Yeah, your turn can go as long as you have the ability to do so.
Yep.
I liked that feature.
Yeah, it was nice. You can also see that somebody's kind of snaking along to what they're trying to get, because there's kind of that longest route to where at the end of the game there's bonuses for whoever has the longest chain of buildings that they were able to get.
Tallest building.
But it's that in itself is not going to win you the game, because there's other bonuses. Who built the tallest house in different regions? Who has the most buildings in other regions? Yeah. So there's different bonuses you can go after. It's light, breezy, played in, 45 minutes-ish?
Yeah.
But that is designed by Rainer Knizia, and it was published by Horrible Guild Games. The last of the 4 we're going to talk about is Camel Up. Camel Up is an older game as well, and we got the newer version. We found it on the used shelf at our friendly local game store, Metagames. Their used shelf is addictive and bad for the wallet. Although, but it's also good for the wallet.
This is good for the wallet.
This is designed by Stefan Bogen, and I want to say the original game came out from Plan B Games, but now it's from Eggertspiel. The original game, you had to assemble a cardboard pyramid, put rubber bands on it, but a lot of people's pyramids over a year or two of play kind of showed its wear and started looking kind of fad. Mm. They have a plastic pyramid, and it looks nicer, but the dice don't always come out.
We did notice that.
Yeah.
You had to hold it just right.
Just right. But in Camelot, you have 4 different colored camels. Purple, red, yellow, green, blue. And on your turn, you can either race more camels. You can grab a bet tile for the leg of the race to try and potentially get some money. You can put down one of your cheering or jeering tiles to either cheer the camels along or boo them back a square. Or you can bet on the overall winner of the full race, or bet on the overall loser of the full race. It's kind of funny because the camels, when they're moving, if they stop where another camel is, they stack on top.
Yes.
And one of the expansions from the original game added some different features, and this one kind of folds in what everybody liked. This one added in the crazy... They look like the ref camels. There's a black camel and a white camel. They go in the opposite direction. And if it happens at the right time, they can just start walking your camels in the opposite direction. And, the blue camel was like 3 paces ahead. Well, now he's in the back. And he's still being carried by the white camel. It's cute. It's fun. We played it on Pi Day. Mm-hmm. And I think it plays up to 8 regularly, and then it plays up to 10 where you have this partnership rule that I still haven't touched because I don't really care about it. Yeah. And at 10, there's other games I'd rather play, and I'd actually rather break up into other player counts, which kind of segues us to our topic of the episode.
It does. Player counts.
But what did you think about Camelot?
I really enjoyed it. I think that for a big group, Ready, Set, Bet would probably be a better way to go. But for a smaller, like 4 or 5 player game, I think Camelot was a good fit.
Yeah. Honestly, I have no problem kicking it out of our collection.
Really?
Yeah.
Because of the pyramid?
Is better. The pyramid is one. But I mean, as far as a betting game, I like Downforce and Ready, Set, Bet better.
All right.
And I think after playing it at Pi Day, it was a good time. That and King of Tokyo. Yeah. I'm never getting rid of King of Tokyo. I love that game. You can be mean, or you can try and go for points. And if somebody's trying to be too nice, then you can go, smack them, get into Tokyo, and start smacking everybody. It's a good time. But with Camelot, there's some funny things that can happen, but they don't always happen.
True.
And the tension really isn't there to the very end of the game. So there's some turns where it's just like everything just kind of went around a couple turns and not a whole lot happened. Maybe somebody made $5.
That's true.
So I just prefer the other ones better.
Understood.
Jen, have you played Camelot?
I have not.
You have not. Well, we'll have to... We'll do that before I kick it out of the collection. We'll make Jen play it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Right. I'm not sure I like this phrasing of make Jen play it.
That's all right.
I'm being punished.
Hey, maybe we'll get you in the correct player count for it.
Oh.
All right, let's go on to the topic of the show. We're quickly approaching Moon City Con 2024, taking place June 21st through the 23rd at the Hilton Garden Inn in Springfield, Missouri. Moon City Con is Springfield's premier board gaming convention. There's going to be a play-to-win section, lending library, door prizes, great vendors, and everybody playing board games. What else could you want? Moon City Con 2024? Get your badges at moocitycon.com. The topic of the episode, the topic of the show is player count. So, do you have an ideal player count? Jen, I like you for this topic because not only do you play board games, you also run RPG sessions, and you run Werewolf. Whenever I'm thinking of just my average Euro game, 3 to 4 is my favorite player count. And it's been that way for a while. Now that I've been dating Andrea, and we're getting ready to get married, I do like our 2-player Euro games. I absolutely do. Mm-hmm. But if you're just like, Terraforming Mars, Lost Ruins of Arnak, a lot of my Euro games, Concordia, what's your favorite player count? It's 3 to 4.
Yeah.
Andrea?
I definitely do not like solo games.
Yeah.
There is no game that I like to play solo. Except maybe on my phone. I'll play That's So Clever.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Have you played Turing Machine solo?
I have not. That
is the one solo game that I like.
Really? Mm-hmm. Well,
I prefer it actually solo.
Really? Okay. Well, I might have to add that to my phone. But as far as actual lay down board games or even video games, other, even when we play Pac-Man, we'll trade off. I'll take a round, you'll take a round, 2-player. Beyond that, I like the smaller count. Not just 2-player, but 2 and 3.
Yeah.
If too many people are playing, it's not that it makes the game harder per se, but it does take up spaces I might want. And if I'm not super familiar with a game, which the harder Euros I'm not, it really limits my ability to compete.
Gotcha.
So I feel not necessarily left out, but I feel, I don't know, what's a good term? Hampered.
Less competitive?
Yeah. I feel like I could have had a higher score if I'd had more options. So I prefer the smaller counts where I have more options until I get the game learned really, really well.
Jen, Euros?
I don't, as a general rule, have a preferred player count for anything.
Okay.
For me, it is the people I am playing with.
Okay.
That can make or break a game.
Gotcha. When it turning into for me, Ameritrash games. When it's the Ameritrash games, the take that and all that stuff, I want more people.
Yeah.
More people adds not only more chaos, but it's also more often than not less butt hurty.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless everybody turns on you, then it might be more butt hurty. But whenever you're playing something like Kemet, which I know is Euro-ish, but Risk, or even older Ameritrash games like Clue, more people at the table, there's more of those aha moments, those laughter, and the take that can go around the table. Whereas when you're playing those Ameritrash or those battle games at 3, 2, 3, 4, then some of those attacks almost feel personal sometimes. And I've seen too many people, and maybe me on occasion or two, take it a little rough on the way out. Like Uno at 4, I've seen some people get really serious at Uno.
Yeah.
Playing at 5, 6, or more, it's more like somebody finally won. But, and I think that's the difference for me on Euros versus Ameritrash in player count. But, looking at something like Werewolf, where do you like your player counts at Werewolf, or do you care?
The lower player counts don't work as well for that because the games don't go on long enough for there to be enough discussion, and that's what people tend to like about them. But I will say for that, it also seems to just depend on the player makeup, on who is playing with whom. And I love to have spouses and close friends playing together. Because those are the ones who will throw each other under the bus so hard and fast. It's that is his lying face. He is the werewolf. Everybody vote him out.
Yeah, we've seen that quite often.
We have.
And then we've seen that person do that while they were the werewolf, completely lying.
100%.
On Werewolf, I like it above a dozen, but I don't like it past 20.
To see that.
I've played it at some conventions at Geekway and stuff like that, where the big convention werewolves where they go 20 plus, and then you have to change it where they've got a weird, voting system so you can hear everybody. In those big convention halls, it's loud and shouty. So instead of everybody verbalizing. You have to kind of point and make gestures, and then you still try and have your discussions as you can. But at 10 to 12, which is an okay werewolf game, I feel when the few times that I've run werewolf, it's hard to dive into the deeper characters. And every once in a while, I like to explore, past the tanner and the hunter and get like, who's the one that gets everybody on his side? It's not the ringleader, but it's something like that. Every round you get to every other round you get to pick somebody at night, and then they're secretly on your side. And if you can turn everybody on your side, it's kind of like it has a similar idea as the serial killer. That if you can secretly kill everybody else off, you win solo. But this one is, we called it the ringleader in a game where we themed all the cards. And the ringleader, Santa's Helpers. We did a Christmas themed werewolf where we had Brad printed some artwork, and one kid was the cool kid, and every other night he got to pick, and everybody was on Team Cool Kid, and if he got everybody, he won by himself. And I do like just a vanilla game to get everybody ready, where you just have a seer and a few werewolves.
It's the cult leader.
Cult leader, thank you.
Oh, okay. Now that you say that, I've not ever used it, but
I do like the cult leader. Spellcaster is fun to throw out there
it is.
now and again.
Especially when everybody, it doesn't matter who the spellcaster is, they always silence the same person.
Yeah.
Like it becomes a conspiracy.
Right. So that's it for me on werewolf. That's where I like the player count. Like between a dozen and 20 is my sweet spot.
So party games, more is better. Euro games, smaller numbers.
Smaller numbers. Yeah. And then RPGs. I'm not versed at RPGs, so I really don't want my party more than 4 or 5, because too much chaos, I can't manage it because I don't have the skill set to do so.
I feel like that's one of those things that also, again, who is playing it
Sure.
can make the difference. That's why, in my opinion, things like Critical Role are so popular, is because they are friends and were before they started playing, and you can see it in their gameplay.
Yeah.
I think if you just took a random group of 7 people and put them together, it would not work nearly as well.
Sure.
So, once again, for me, really, it is just more about the makeup than the number.
Are certain systems have you played quite a few different systems?
I haven't. I have read some others, and some of them are easier, as far as less rules, more approachable. But they're all ultimately role-playing games,
Sure.
and it's that interaction that can make or break. I've even done with D&D for newer players or younger players, just done a pared down rule set to get them into the game to where more experienced players are doing more.
Gotcha.
That way they're not having to deal with as many mechanics and can feel like they can step into the game more readily.
Sure.
Is there a certain amount of players to where it's not enough for you as a DM? Or are you engaged the whole time?
I have DM'd for as few as 2. I probably could DM for 1, but the interaction wouldn't be there as much, and I don't think the player would get as much out of it. But I think it absolutely could be done.
Okay. Because I've talked to some people that run Pathfinder and some other systems like that, and 1 to 2 they can do, especially if they're really good friends, they'll do it that way. They each get a little taste, and also if they want to get into a new book and learn some of the new stories and maybe some of the new races and mechanics, try it out and then discuss afterwards, hey, this didn't really work, and maybe the book says it does this, but it doesn't feel right, versus, but in truthful fashion, they prefer 4+ to where it rounds out a party, where you have, people in different roles, so you can throw different tasks and stories and fights at them.
See, I'm the person who, I guess maybe I lean a little more role play than I think I do, because I think you can go out there with a party full of barbarians and it be a perfectly fine game. You just have to figure out and how to work together.
Right.
I don't believe in the well-rounded party mechanic of things. It's what are you going to have fun playing?
Right.
And if everybody's playing the same thing and that's how they're going to have fun, then that will make the game.
Nice.
And I've heard from some friends that just ran a party of bards.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably a good time, but I'd be interested to try and run something like that. But so far, I ran the starter edition of 5e,
Mm-hmm.
and then I've run some Savage World stuff, and that's about my expertise. There for the longest time, the longest an RPG group that I had would go no more than 3 sessions. We'd create the characters, we'd do the beginner, we'd play the second, we'd get to a battle, and then like life would happen. Like at one point, some friends got jobs outside of town, they left, we never saw them again. And
Internet can help with that?
I don't like RPGs over the internet. I've tried.
Fair.
It's the same thing with reading books.
Yeah.
I have a Kindle, I have a tablet, and I do not enjoy reading books off of a tablet. I like to have a physical book. Maybe it's one of my old man things. I don't know. But so, what player count do you, the listener, enjoy? Head on over to our Facebook at facebook.com/Hobby Gaming Network. Let us know if you have a favorite player count. Type of game, does it matter? If not, hey. But let's go on to the 7 in the 417 Gamer podcast. Some of you listening have not gotten to play games with the 417 Gamers. Go to the Facebook page at facebook.com/417 Gamers. See where we're playing games, all the events, all that stuff. Also, we like to announce all the board gaming events that we know of on our YouTube at youtube.com/417 Gamers. Come on, play some games! The 7 in the 417 Gamer podcast is our top 7 in a given category. We're looking at our favorite games that start with the letter A. Andrea, your name starts with an A.
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 It does. And it ends with an A.
It does. And we're releasing this episode in the month of April.
Ooh.
I know. So we're looking at number 7. Number 7 for me and Andrea is Aquatica. Aquatica is designed by Ivan Terzovsky. It is published by Arcane Wonders. Came out in 2019. Aquatica is a hand-building game in the same mechanics as Concordia. You start with a hand of cards. You play a card to take an action. In those actions, you're acquiring more cards to come into your hand. And you can do this by buying them and being peaceful, or you can go conquer them. And conquer them sometimes takes more material or other cards. And as you buy these cards, some of them will be territories that you will seat on your player board. And your player board is like dual layered to where they can tuck. And they'll tuck down to little symbology. And there's other cards that might let you use the symbology. Play it, and once you do, the card sinks a little further into your player board. If you can get it sink all the way, there's another character card that you could play to where you can pull that card out and cash it as treasure. Game ends when several different conditions are popped on the end of the board, or if one of the decks, there's a specific deck that if it gets exhausted, the game ends that way too. Really liked it. You guys both played it with me for my birthday.
Yeah.
It was on our games that had to, that we needed to play by the end of the year. We just scraped in there. One game extra than we actually had to. But that's Aquatica. You guys both played it? What did you guys think of it?
I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's actually on my list, a little higher than yours.
Ooh. I wonder where it's going to land.
We liked it so much we put it on our 10 for 10 board for this year.
Oh, nice. I saw that.
Yeah.
Yep. Our 10 for 10's kind of cheaty-ish, but it's... So we have it up there with Flamecraft, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it's 10 plays of either or, and it doesn't matter the makeup. So if we end up playing Flamecraft 8 and Aquatica 2, that's 10 plays.
Yeah.
When it was just 10 plays of a game, by the time we got to the 10th play, we're like, we kind of exhausted this.
Yeah.
And there's some of those games I don't want to leave our collection at all.
Right.
And,
Keep it fresh. Yeah.
Right. So, Jen, your number 7.
My number 7 is Astronomy Flux. I have multiple different versions of Flux. I enjoy it quite a bit. I feel like it's very approachable, as in the basic rules are just draw one, play one.
Yep.
But it can seem scary when you're describing the game to people and you explain that the reason it is called Flux is the rules are always in flux.
They are.
But it is not hard to follow because the rules are always laid out on the table in front of you.
Yeah.
They're played one card at a time. And it can be simple things from you now draw 4, play 1. Or you have a hand limit of 2. But if you're drawing 5, then you have to discard down and make all of those decisions. And for me, it also gives that little extra nerdy hit of astronomy stuff that I like.
Yeah.
Because when they have sets like that, they are actually true facts and things like that are on the cards.
Nice.
Flux for me is the theme can make or break it for not only me, but the group playing at the table. I have Monty Python Flux, Batman Flux, and I think we have another one. And when everybody's in on the joke, Monty Python Flux is hilarious. But when one or two people aren't on the joke and they're just like, and you're like, aw, I feel bad for you not liking Monty Python. What's wrong with you? He doesn't know a silly walk at all.
Is it not liking Monty Python or being uneducated?
Yes. But Astronomy Flux came out in 2020. It is designed by Andrew Looney and published by Looney Labs.
I didn't realize it was that recent.
Yeah. Jen, you're number 6.
My number 6 is Applejack. It's actually one of, I think, 2 Uwe Rosenberg games on my list.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It's a little different than some of his others that I have played. You're drafting hex tiles with different colored apples and beehives on them. The beehives get you honey, but you also have to pay honey based on, so it's a balance of how much you take and how much you give. And then also you are building groups of apples of the same color because that gets you points as you are going through each of the rounds.
Nice. Applejack came out in 2022. It is designed by Uwe Rosenberg, published by Stronghold Games. And Catherine is running a tournament for Applejack at Moon City Con. She has 4 qualifying rounds until the finals that happen, I think, on Sunday. But if you're coming to Moon City Con, get your spot in one of the qualifying rounds sooner than later, because it looks like those are probably going to fill up. Andrea, what's our number 6?
Azul Queen's Garden.
It sure is.
I think that this, of all the Azul variations, I feel like this is the hardest, quotation marks. You know, it's definitely not beginner weight.
Would you say part of that is because it is the first one where your color and pattern are separate?
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah.
My brain is still working on trying to remember that.
Which none of the other versions have that. There are several things in this variation that the other ones just don't have. And I like that because, like, for example, Azul Chocolatier. It's just regular Azul with different color pieces. We still like it. We enjoyed it. We have it. It's a little... mix it up a little bit. But if you're thinking about getting this Azul and you're like, oh, I already have too many versions of Azul. No. This one's completely different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely go ahead.
I have 3 versions in my collection.
Yeah.
It is one of them.
So yeah, definitely go ahead and pull the trigger and get this one.
Yeah, I like this one too. This is designed by Michael Kiesling, published by Next Move Games. Came out in 2021. This is the only Azul I have to refresh the rules every time. Well, it's not true. I would have to refresh on Summer Pavilion. But Summer Pavilion, I'm on. I don't hate it. I don't love it. If somebody wants to play it, I'll absolutely play it. But it didn't need to add to our collection. The first Azul is in our collection, and Queen's Garden is in our collection.
Yeah.
Our number 5 is Airlines Europe. Airlines Europe actually would be way higher on our list, or on my personal list. I love this game, and Andrea likes it. She'll play it. She'll humor me. This is one that goes more along the player count, because 3 sucks. This, for me, is best at 4 or 5. Airlines Europe is designed by Alan R. Moon, released in 2011 by Rio Grande Games. This is kind of a stock portfolio game. So it's kind of, you can feel some of the Ticket to Ride vibes in it. On your turn, you're either putting little planes out to further a particular plane company's stock value, or you're exchanging cards to get more stocks. And at the end of the game, there's different scoring rounds. At each scoring round, whoever has the most stocks of each color plane will get points based on what level that stock is at. And then at the end of the game, you'll have a final scoring round. Whoever has the most points wins. It's not a hard teach. It's pretty fun, and at the end of it, I can really tell if those people want to play some of the harder stock games that we have in our collection or in some of our friends' collections, or if they had a good time, but that's about their ceiling, which is perfectly fine. But that's Airlines Europe by Alan R. Moon. Andrea, any thoughts?
I do enjoy it. I just don't enjoy it quite as much as you do. When it comes to that weight game, there's several others I'd rather play. But I don't hate it. If you're bringing it out, I'll play it. I'll enjoy it. But it's not something I'm like, ooh, can we play that tonight?
Yeah. Jen, have you gotten this one? Have you been
I have not.
coaxed into playing this? That's another one we have to get you playing. That's all right.
It's probably a longer list than you realize.
That's fine. Jen, you're number 5.
My number 5 is Abandon All Artichokes. It is a nice little filler. It's quick. It's another one that is easy to teach to people, but I've not come across anything else quite like it. It has a little bit of a different play style of you are trying to get rid of all of the artichokes in your hand. You start with a deck of 10, all artichokes. The goal is to draw a hand with no artichokes in it, and you're drafting other veggies out of the veggie garden that help you compost artichokes or get rid of them in different ways, maybe even pass them off to the other players. Ooh. So it's quick, it's simple, can fit in multiple games a lot of times. If I'm wanting to play something but I'm not wanting anything overly thinky, it's nice, but it's still entertaining enough that it keeps me engaged.
Gotcha. This is designed by Emma Larkins, published by Game Right Games in 2020. Then that brings us to your number 4, Jen.
Number 4 you've already talked about, and that was Aquatica.
Yeah. I liked it. Did you like the card play? Did you like the board? What was really, what did you enjoy about it?
I think I liked the multi possibilities of the cards. The different ways you could use them, and that you didn't always have to, even if you started using one in a certain fashion, it could just hang out there. You weren't locked into that, and you could switch over to doing something else. Now, you couldn't do anything else with that card,
right?
But you weren't sucked into, well, now I've got to finish this thing I started with this card.
Yep. I did like that. Andrea, our number 4?
Our number 4 is Alhambra.
It is. So, this is a game I thought I killed for you because I thought we played it so much.
We have played the heck out of this game, and you are excellent at this game. I don't know, like, I watch you play, and I'm like, how? He'll go like, oh, and I played exact change, so I get another turn. Then I played an exact change again, so I get another turn. I'm like, how is that even? I've never seen.
Because he's Rick.
Yeah. I love this game too. It's an easy teach for a beginner. It's light-ish weight, but I've never seen anybody play it the way you do.
We've talked about pulling back in games.
Yeah.
This is one of those games that's hard for me to pull back on. Whenever you teach a game, and there's some games I pull back and I go a little bit easier on the crowd because I know I can just stomp the crap out of them. This one's harder for me because I see what people are going after, and there's scoring phases in Alhambra. Alhambra is a tile-laying game where you're building your palace, or Alhambra. Gotcha. There's different types of buildings. There's gardens. There's towers. There's it's called the arcade, but it's kind of where shops are. The buildings are finite, and there's 3 scoring rounds. 2 in the middle of the game, and then 1 at the very end. Whoever has the most of each kind of tile gets the most points. In the second, there's a first and second, and in the end of the game, there's first, second, and third. If two people are battling too much over the green tiles, which are worth quite a bit of points, I'll just go after the cheap blue and red ones that nobody's going after.
Sure.
And if there's a tie, you split points. Mm-hmm. So if I can get a solo score on red or blue, or both if nobody's going after them, that's points for me. And then I just grab one or two tiles of theirs, and maybe I can snake third place and get some points off of theirs. But Andrea's right. There is a mechanic in there because all the buildings come out on a central board, and that's all of the different nationalities that are coming to build your Alhambra, but they only take their country's money. So like there's orange money, there's green money, yellow money, and blue money. And when the building pops out, the building has a number on it. That's how much it costs. But then you have to pay yellow money for the green building because those people will only get paid in yellow money. Mm-hmm. But if you can play them the exact cost of the building, then you get another turn.
Oh, nice.
But buildings do not refresh until the very end.
That's why it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Because you can not only wipe the whole board, but one of the actions you can do is take money. So if you've just built up your money cards right, you could wipe all 4 buildings and then take some money at the very end and get ready for next round.
And I've seen you do it.
I could see him doing it, and I've not played with him.
I've seen me do it. But now, Alhambra is designed by Dirk Hind, is published by Queen Games, came out in 2003. It is probably is one of my top 2 or 3 gateway games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right up there with Splendor. I love playing it. I love teaching it. Mm-hmm. But it is a game that I find hard pulling back when I've taught. Mm-hmm. Number 3 for us is Regular Azul. This is designed by Michael Kiesling, like all the others in the series. Published by Plan B Games. This came out in 2017. I like Azul okay. When it first came out in our group, we played a couple tournaments. It was coming out about every other night at game night, to the point where before we started dating, I
burnt out on it.
Burnt out, kicked it out of my collection. I was very happy that it wasn't in my collection. Then you started playing, you're like, ooh, I like
this game.
I'm like, oh no. And then we started playing it 2-player. I'm like, you know what? I'm not burnt on it anymore. I'm okay with it. So, and the new edition, the Chocolatiers, is really nice. And then we got the Pocket Edition, which I don't know what happened to it, but it's in a pocket of the house somewhere.
It's so tiny, it's disappeared.
Is this the mini or travel, whatever they call it, or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Andrea, Azul?
I never got burned out on it because we don't play it enough. And maybe that's why we don't take it to game night as much, because everyone has been there, done that. But if you haven't, it's still a good game.
It is. Mm-hmm. So Azul is a tile drafting game where there's several piles of tiles, and you can decide on one color, but you take all of that color off of that little pile, then you shove the rest of them to the center. And you have a wall that you're building of various tile colors. The very top level only requires 1 material to build. Then the next one requires 2 tiles to build 1 tile. Then the next requires 3 to build 1. Then 4, then 5 to build 1. At the end of a round, if you have enough tiles to build that, it goes over on your player board. If you play the regular version, all the colors are on the map for you and tells you where to put them. You play the advanced variant, you get to put them wherever you want. However, you have to follow the rule. You can never copy a color in the same row or the same column. Mm-hmm. And that's the way I prefer to play it. Even if everybody wants to play on the easy map, I'd rather play on the hard map.
Yeah.
Which is...
It's good that you can have a game of it going on, and the beginners, they can play on the starter map, and people who have played it before, they can flip it over and play the advanced map.
Yeah. That was our number 3. Jen, you're number 3.
My number 3 is Azul Summer Pavilion.
Ooh.
I enjoy all of the Azuls. Mm-hmm. Summer Pavilion was first played for me of any of them, so that might be part of it.
Sure.
First exposure. Queen's Garden I haven't played as much, so that might... I don't dislike it by any means.
Sure.
But it might get closer to Summer Pavilion as I have played it more.
Yeah.
I like Summer Pavilion over Original Azul because there's a little more variety.
Yep.
You just draft all of your pieces together and then decide how you want to split them up. And I feel like that actually makes it a little more thinky. Mm-hmm. And then also the bonuses that are on the Summer Pavilion board that are not on the regular Azul board. Whether or not you want to try to go for those and how that affects your decisions. I like that little more...
They're more interesting.
Things going into the gameplay and the decisions makings. Don't dislike regular Azul. Like I said, I own 1, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
That is also designed by Michael Kiesling. Surprise, surprise. That came out in 2019 from Plan B Games, or Next Move Games. Jen, your number 2.
My number 2 is Architects of the West Kingdom. I have found that I really like all of the Garfield trilogies that they're doing.
Yeah.
Viscounts was the first I played for that and first getting into that. And I actually just recently played Architects because I wanted it to be on the list. And I'm like, I have not gotten this. I need to play this. I know I'm going to like it.
And Ben in our group is only more so happy to oblige because he loves the Shem Phillips and Garfield games.
He is the one I specifically... I didn't even put it out to the group. I was like, hey, Ben.
But honestly, if he got... If his games, got cold all the way down, I don't think he would get rid of the Shem Phillips.
Yeah.
I think that's...
I wouldn't either.
Yeah. You said you could only have one designer. I think that's his designer.
Nice.
So, Architects West Kingdom, what kind of gameplay is it?
It is a worker placement. Mm-hmm. When I was first hearing about it and watching playthroughs, I did not quite understand how integral it was to put people in jail. Mm-hmm. I thought it was just kind of a take that mechanic. But after playing it, it is a very integral mechanic in the game. Like, you want to do that. You want your players to be taken. Mm-hmm. You want to take other people's players. And I just think that works really well, which I think they do with a lot of their games, is they figure out how to do those different pieces. It was interesting that it's a worker placement that one person going to one spot does not keep anybody else from going there.
Just makes it more expensive.
Yes. But that makes the planning a little bit different. Because you're like, I do get all of the options, but there's, I think, only a couple places that somebody going there before you makes a difference. Because maybe they take the little pot of money, or they take the card that you wanted to draft. But most of the places are not like that.
Yeah.
So there's another A game that Andrea and I were discussing with some of our friends over the weekend called Agra. Agra is a worker placement, but it's a sandboxy worker placement to where any place you go is good.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's a slightly better choice somewhere, but generally every place you go is good, and there's not an opportunity cost. If I go here, good things. Mm-hmm. Just where do I put them?
Right.
And that's what I didn't realize how much opportunity cost meant to me, because Catherine's talked about it before. Because she really likes a punishing opportunity cost in her games. For me, because I don't think viticulture has a harsh punishment for opportunity cost. If somebody takes a thing
I don't think so either.
that I want, generally I can find something else to at least until that last round. That last round when stuff gets taken from you, then you get mad. How dare you harvest your field? I could have made a yoke this whole 10 turns in the game and I still have it, but it's your fault for taking that action from me. But Architects from the West Kingdom takes that opportunity cost and kind of turns it on its ear a little bit, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
What number was that? Number
2.
So Andrea, what's our number 2?
Our number 2 is Agricola, All Creatures Great and Small.
It is.
Another worker placement game.
Is that a 2-player?
It is.
It is.
And if there was ever a game made for Andrea, it is this one.
Okay, so not next week, but the week after, you're bringing that and we're playing it to game night?
Sure.
Okay.
I love this game for a very personal reason, in that when I was little, I grew up on a farm, and all my toys were farm toys. And this is a farming game where you have horses and cows and pigs and sheep, and you're not just trying to breed more of them. You have to build a fence, and a pasture will only hold so many animals, and you have to, if you get a trough, will increase your ability to have more animals, and you can build, there are different, you could build stalls and different storage units and stuff like that. I get caught up in trying to make the best farm that I would like to have. Rick does the thing that gets the points, and Rick always wins. And I'm
but
like,
who has more fun?
I don't know. I get pretty frustrated.
She does. She gets those shaky fists. I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe a city boy has to teach you how to farm.
Oh. Wow.
And I don't usually needle her about too many games, except for this one. And she's beat me on a time or two.
But it's been rare because
when you can focus.
Yeah, because I'm like, I gotta build some fence because I got horses coming, and I'm gonna get really excited about that. And Rick usually whoops me pretty good, but I do still enjoy this game. It is little girl Andrea's grown-up game.
Yeah. Grigla, All Creatures Big and Small came out in 2012. It was designed by Uwe Rosenberg. Our copy was published by Lookout Games. Which brings us to our number one, Andrea. Our number one is...
Ark Nova.
Yeah. This is going to be number one no matter what. Mm-hmm. Ark Nova, it's got animals, which Andrea loves. Mm-hmm. It's got card combos and engine building, which we both love.
Yes.
It also has putting pieces on your board to make something that makes it look nice and pretty, which we both love. Mm-hmm. And it's also got some tough decisions and some frustration in the middle of the game, which I love. Mm. In Ark Nova, you're building your own zoo. You start with a meager mat. If you start on the beginner game, you start with an empty pin. Otherwise, you start with just money. When you start, you get 8 potential zoo cards, but you have to discard down to 4. So then you have to start making some plans. What animals are you going to keep? Because you also might have some sponsors that help you build your zoo, but you can only keep 4 of the 8. Mm-hmm. And you might have a hand that's awesome. You're like, oh, these are all great. What do I plan on? Then you might have a hand of crap, and you're like, uh-oh, this zoo's going to be hurting for a little bit. There's also a, what's the board up top? Conservation board.
Oh, yes.
Conservation board has projects, which is whoever, if you have so many reptiles or animals from Australia, or releasing animals back into the wild. Mm-hmm. So you might look at your hand and try and plan that way. Yeah. There's a lot of strategy, but Ark Nova teaches you to be more tactical than strategic. Because the card row and your card hand, if you make long-term plans, it might take forever to get some of your long-term plans throughout the whole game. Yeah. And if you try and plan too hard in one strategy and you miss out on the easy stuff that comes your way that could be making you some money, your zoo's not going to do so good.
It's true.
You might want to have a bear zoo, but you might see only 2 bears in like 5 rounds. But that's Ark Nova. We like it. That is published by Capstone Games, designed by Matthias Wiggy. It came out in 2021. We loves it.
We do.
Jen, your number one.
My number one is Agricola. Ooh. Yet another Uwe Rosenberg game. It was another one, like Architects of the West Kingdom, that I had not played, but I was making this list, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is going to be number one, so I need to play it so I can actually put it on my list. I played Caverna years ago, immediately played it, and was like, what is this game? Where do I buy it? I need more of this in my life. How I'd never gotten around to Agricola, I don't know. But another worker placement option, like All Creatures Big and Small, you're building out your farm, you've got your animals, and how do you get Uwe style? How are you going to feed everybody?
Right.
This is tougher and meaner.
Yeah. And I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I've been like, I want to play more. I need more. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, Board Game Arena has it, so I can play it until I can get a copy purchased.
Nice.
Well, and it's what version do you get now? Because they've made several versions. The first one was Mayfair Games, and it had all 6 players in the box. And then Z-Man went and got it, and they have a reprint where it's 4 players in the box, and you can get expansion, go to 6 players. And actually, maybe it was originally Z-Man, then it went to Mayfair. And Mayfair folded. And now I don't know who has it. Might be Lookout Games. But Agricola came out in 2007. And like you said, designed by Uwe Rosenberg. Do you like it better or not as much as Caverna? Or equal?
I need some more plays with both of them closer together.
Gotcha.
To do a better comparison. I think that exploration option in Caverna might push that up a little bit of the two.
All right. Jen, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And did we miss some of your favorite A games? Well, head over to our Instagram at Hobby Gaming Network and let us know what are some of your favorite A games. But until then, we'll see you next time. Keep gaming in the 417. Goodbye!
Goodbye!
The 417 Gamer podcast is recorded and produced by Rick Bagwell and Andrea Smith. We want to say thank you to Jen for joining us and talking about player count and her favorite games starting with the letter A. The music we use, Kind, Gentle, Beautiful Person, and Making Up for Lost Time, was created by Origami Replica. To links to the music and to our show notes, head on over to the Facebook page at facebook.com/Hobby Gaming Network. And until next episode, keep gaming in the 417.